Well, joining me now is the ambassador of the State of Palestine to the UK, Husam Zomlot. Mr. Zomlot, Ambassador Zomlot, thank you so much for joining us here on Sky News. A very busy and eventful day today. We are awaiting the release of the hostages by Monday morning, and we've also seen trucks full of aid driving into the Gaza Strip. First of all, I'd like to start by getting your reaction to what we're seeing unfold in phase one of this deal.
Thank you, Barbara. It's good to see this phase of the ceasefire agreement implemented. It's good to see hostages return to their families and homes. And it's good also to make sure that this ceasefire agreement holds and is implemented, enforced, simply because of the record of Netanyahu and Israel of violating all previous ceasefire agreements. Not only with Palestine, but also with Lebanon and other areas. So we need the world's attention to remain. We need the pressure to remain so we go through this agreement and we actually can announce the end of the genocidal war on our people in Gaza. And while I'm following your reports about Israeli hostages going back to their families and needing to be healing and recover, I also would like you, Barbara, to cover the thousands of Palestinian hostages, detainees who will be released today, and also to focus on their plight. Many of them are children, women, several are held without charge or trial for a long time, so they too need your covering, your reporting, and they too need to heal and to recover, and they need to also be provided with justice after many years of being unduly detained.
Part of that hostage and prisoner swap is part of phase one. Of course, phase two is the one that could prove more problematic. We interviewed Dr. Bassem Naim of Hamas. He said that the disarmament would happen to a viable Palestinian state. He also said that as a liberation movement, no one can exclude or overcome Hamas. What do you make of those comments from Dr. Bassem Naim, and what role, if any, do you think that Hamas should or could play in any future Palestinian leadership?
What matters here is that the war ends completely, permanently, a permanent ceasefire, that Israel withdraws completely from the Gaza Strip, completely, that Israel and the rest of the world will allow for one government of Palestine, the legitimate government of the state of Palestine, the only entity that has the jurisdiction and the legitimacy to provide for, to govern, and to protect our people, to come back to Gaza and to start the process of the healing, of the recovery, and the massive project of rebuilding what Israel has destroyed. That government represents all Palestinians. That government will have security apparatus, and that government will enforce law and order on all Palestinians.
Okay, I mean, we'll focus on that, but let me just ask you the question again, because as I'm sure you'll appreciate, it's going to be one of the thorny issues going ahead. You mentioned a legitimate Palestinian government. Do you think that any Hamas representative or any Hamas elements could ever form part of that legitimate Palestinian government?
Well, Hamas itself has agreed in the past and agreed in the last Sharm el-Sheikh ceasefire agreement that they will have no role in the governance of Gaza. The government we're talking about that agreed about in the Arab Summit, the latest Arab Summit on Gaza, that came up with a whole plan for the day after. The government we're talking about is an interim technocratic government linked to the central legitimate Palestinian government. So when we say technocratic, it's not made of factions. So you will not see Hamas, you will not see anybody, any faction in that government. So it is going to be made by Palestinian professionals, and we will need the help and the support of the region, the Arab world, our brothers and sisters, and we will need the help of the international community to help that technocratic government, to help the unification of the West Bank and Gaza, to make sure that the only direction we are going towards is the establishment of the sovereign and independent state of Palestine with Jerusalem as its capital. That is the direction, and therefore the unity of the Palestinian people, the unity of the Palestinian geography and demography, and the unity of the Palestinian political system is paramount.
Okay. I mean, you mentioned this government that is meant to rule now over Gaza. I mean, it's meant to be handed over to the Palestinian Authority after it's completed, and this is point 9 of the deal, its reform program as outlined in various proposals. We have heard that Tony Blair will be meeting either today or tomorrow Hussein el-Sheikh, who is the number 2 to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Jordan. What kind of points will he be making to Tony Blair? And do you think Tony Blair is the right person for that role?
Well, the points I've just made, that Gaza is absolutely inseparable from the West Bank, that both the West Bank and Gaza, including East Jerusalem, are one territorial entity, one people, and one legitimate government.
But it's going to come in interim steps. Ambassador Zomlot, I mean, right now we are talking about who is going to take over the control of Gaza. So I'm just wondering what you think the main points that the Palestinian Authority should be and would be making to Tony Blair right now.
Exactly, that's what I'm telling you. They will be making these points. Gaza is inseparable from the West Bank. There is only one legitimate entity, that is the legitimate government of the State of Palestine. One law, one people, one gun. And therefore, these are the points, and that we need the help and the support of the region and the international community in that endeavor, but we want to make sure that the Palestinian governance, that the Palestinian people are governing themselves. These are the points we make with you and we make with others.
So, but the deal is specifically about Gaza, but you're talking about the creation, of course, of an independent Palestinian state. A little earlier, we heard from Isaac Herzog, who is, of course, the Israeli president, and speaking at Hostages Square, he said that the Gaza deal gives hope to the Middle East. Do you think that what we're seeing now unfold over Gaza, over this deal, could actually become the catalyst, the push that is needed for the creation of a Palestinian state, or do you not really see anything in this deal that points in that direction?
No, I see it. I see it as a momentous time. I see it as ducks are aligning. The only duck that is not aligning is Netanyahu and Israel. But I see that all the other stars are aligning. I see the world wanting to uproot the root cause of all this. I see humanity at large, and you're speaking to me here from Aberdeen, where I see the Scottish people. I was in Glasgow yesterday. I see this wave, serious campaign of actually once and for all looking and dealing with the root cause, which is occupation. I see an energy that would once and for all actually go all the way towards establishing a sovereign and independent state of Palestine immediately after we make sure that the ceasefire agreement holds, that state shall be able to provide for its people, rebuild what was destroyed, commit to international legality, long for peace and for security for the region, and be a bright contribution to international system and to international legality.
On a final point, Ambassador Zomlot, I'm introducing you as Ambassador Zomlot because now Palestine has been recognized by the United Kingdom. So before you were head of mission. Now, it's that recognition that the Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel says was actually a hindrance and not something that helped the move towards this peace deal that the UK, effectively by recognizing the state of Palestine, worked against or was a hindrance towards this deal now. What do you make of that statement? What have you made of the UK's role in getting us to this point?
Who made that statement? Sorry, Barbara, say it
was
again.
The Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel.
Deputy who? Yeah, I think he speaks for their strategy. He speaks for their plan, which is never, ever allowing for a Palestinian state to emerge. Netanyahu says it. He's been saying it for years. He was elected almost 20 years ago on that ticket. He will derail the Oslo peace process, and he did, and he will prevent the establishment of a state of Palestine. He promised the Israeli people that occupation will be permanent, and still he can manage the affairs with the region and the US and the rest of the world. That promise has come crumbling now. No way he can do that. And that's why the recognition of the state of Palestine was the best step in the direction of the two-state solution, in the direction of the international consensus for the solution of this, and in the direction of the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people, including the right to self-determination. And for the UK in particular, it was a moment of leadership and responsibility to begin to correct a century of the gravest historic injustice committed against our people since the Balfour Declaration and the denial of our existence and our right to self-determination. That moment 3 weeks ago, when the UK did recognize, is a moment when we can say that the wheels of history are turning in a different direction.
Ambassador Zomlot, we're going to have to leave it there. Husam Zomlot, Palestinian ambassador to the UK. Sir, thank you.